There's an old joke that's told about the Soviet Constitution, where a Russian comes to an American and says, "What's the difference between the American Constitution and the Soviet Constitution?" The American says, "What?" And the Russian says, "Well, in the Soviet Constitution we have freedom of speech. In the American Constitution you have freedom after speech." And it highlights the idea that, in fact, many countries around the world make promises in their constitutions that they have no intention of or sometimes no capacity for delivering. The conditions under which constitutions make a difference is a really important question. Even in our own case, we tend to think that the American Constitution matters in some fundamental sense, but we have many provisions in the Constitution which haven't made a huge difference in our national life. The Third Amendment, prohibiting the right of the government to quarter soldiers in people's homes, is one such example. On the other hand, we have certain provisions which are never litigated, but probably do shape actual practice. The rule that the president must be at least 35 years old. There are no court cases about that. It's never been contested. But counterfactually, if we didn't have that, or if it said that the president had to be 40 or 45, then we would think we would have a very different kind of political arrangement. So it's very difficult methodologically to try to unpack the circumstances under which constitutions matter. And that's what I'm working on this year. That's what I'm hoping to spend a lot of time thinking about. You also have circumstances in which a constitution will intentionally make a promise which is incapable of being delivered right away, but by virtue of the promise, it orients the society and the polity towards moving in the direction that's desired, and eventually those things can make a difference, even if they don't at the time that they are written down on paper. Some would say our equal protection clause in the 14th Amendment. Of course, when it was passed at the end of the Civil War, there was great optimism that this promise of equal protection would simply become reality. But as we all know, the painful history of the country for the next 100 years prevented it from really being realized until a period beginning in the 1950s, continuing through the adoption of the Civil Rights Act of 1965, and indeed some would say it's a struggle that's still ongoing today. But that's a good example of a promise that really wasn't realized for some time, and yet without the promise we would not have had delivered on equality to the extent we have so far.